I came home early that day, my arms loaded with grocery bags and my heart full of that familiar, quiet kind of love. I just wanted to surprise my husband David with his favorite dinner, a perfectly medium-rare steak, garlic, mashed potatoes, and that red wine he always said reminded him of our honeymoon in Napa. Instead, I walked into our own bedroom, the one we had picked out furniture for together, the one where our 2 boys were conceived. And I saw my husband on top of my sister-in-law Rachel, doing something I will never be able to erase from my mind, no matter how many years pass. The worst part wasn't even what they were doing. It was what they said right after, when they thought they were alone. They thought I was weak. They thought I would cry, break down, file for divorce like a good, quiet wife, and quietly disappear from their lives while they moved on with my house, my money, and my children. They were so wrong. I made sure they regretted that single moment for the rest of their miserable lives. If you've ever been betrayed by someone you considered family, someone you opened your home to, someone you trusted with your children, stay with me until the end. This story will make you angry. It will make your stomach turn. But maybe, just maybe, it will make you stronger too. We had been married for 12 beautiful, exhausting, ordinary years. My name is Sarah. I'm 34 years old, an account manager at a mid-sized tech company in the suburbs of Chicago. I'm the mother of 2 wonderful boys, Jacob, who is 8 and already obsessed with soccer, and Ethan, who is 5 and still believes I can fix any nightmare with one hug. David, my husband, is 38. He's a regional sales manager and the main breadwinner in our home. When we first met at a company happy hour 12 years ago, he was the charming, confident man who could make an entire room laugh. He used to call me his anchor, the steady one who kept his wild ambition grounded. I believed every word. And Rachel is my sister-in-law. She used to be married to David's older brother, Mark. Their divorce 2 years ago was ugly, screaming matches, accusations of cheating, the whole messy package. Rachel is 30, unemployed at the time, with no children of her own, and she was drowning in debt and heartbreak. David and I opened our home to her without hesitation. Just for a few months until she gets back on her feet, David had said one night over dinner, squeezing my hand under the table. But a few months turned into 14 long, slow months. I treated Rachel like my own sister. I really did. I let her stay in our guest room for free. I slipped her spending money every week so she wouldn't feel embarrassed. I listened to her cry for hours on the back porch about how Mark had destroyed her self-worth. I even introduced her to my own friends, helped update her resume, and drove her to 3 different job interviews. I turned down a big promotion at work because the new role would have meant traveling 3 weeks a month. I told myself the family needed me home. I cooked extra portions every night, did her laundry when she forgot, and defended her to David's parents when they started asking why she was still here. I truly believed that family helps each other no matter what. But slowly, almost imperceptibly, strange little signs started appearing. Rachel began wearing tight, low-cut outfits around the house, the kind you'd wear on a first date, not while folding laundry. She would linger in the kitchen when I left for work, laughing at David's jokes a little too loudly. David started defending her way too passionately whenever I gently suggested it might be time for her to find her own place. He became distant with me. The good morning kisses grew shorter. The late-night conversations with me turned into late-night talks with Rachel downstairs while I put the boys to bed. There was one night I'll never forget. I came downstairs for a glass of water around 1 and heard them whispering in the living room. Rachel was saying, "Sarah is so lucky to have you. I wish I had someone who looked at me the way you look at her." David didn't correct her. He just chuckled softly. I told myself I was being paranoid. "She's going through a hard time," I whispered to my reflection in the bathroom mirror. "David is just being a good brother-in-law." I was too trusting. I was too naive. I thought my sister-in-law was family, not the woman who would help destroy everything I had built. It was a Wednesday afternoon in October, the kind of crisp fall day where the leaves turn gold and everything feels possible. Jacob had come down with a sudden fever at school, so I got the call from the nurse and left work immediately. I stopped at the grocery store on the way home, smiling the whole time because I planned to surprise David with his favorite meal. He had been working late so much lately, I thought this would be a nice reset for us. I opened the front door, and the house was strangely quiet. No cartoons playing for the boys, no TV in the background. I walked up the stairs, grocery bags rustling softly in my hands. Then I heard it. Soft, breathless laughter. The familiar creak of our king-sized bed. Whispers low, intimate, hungry. Baby, I've wanted you for so long. My stomach dropped like I had missed a step on the stairs. I froze right outside our bedroom door, the one with the little dent from when Jacob had ridden his tricycle into it at age 3. My hand gripped the grocery bag so tightly that the plastic cut into my palm. My heart hammered so hard I could hear it in my ears. I pushed the door open just an inch, and the world shattered. David was on top of Rachel in our bed, the same bed where we had celebrated anniversaries, comforted sick children, and planned our future. Her hands were in his hair. His shirt was on the floor. The afternoon sunlight streamed through the curtains we had picked out together and lit up their bodies like some sick spotlight. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just stood there, invisible in my own home, and listened to what they said next while my entire life burned down around me. When Sarah finally signs the divorce papers, David whispered, still catching his breath, the house, the equity, and the kids' college fund will all be ours. We'll sell this place and start fresh somewhere no one knows us. Rachel laughed that soft, satisfied laugh I had heard 1,000 times before. She's so naive, David. She still thinks I'm her sister. She'll never suspect a thing. We just keep playing the supportive family card. David's voice turned colder. We only need to make her look crazy during the custody battle, maybe plant some pills in her purse. Tell the judge she's unstable. I get full custody, and if anything unfortunate happens to her later, you'll get the life insurance payout. $2 million. Enough for us and the baby we'll have one day. In that single heartbeat, the woman who once loved both of them with everything she had died right there in the hallway. A new Sarah was born in the ashes. And she would not forgive. She would not forget. She would make them pay. I didn't yell. I didn't cry in front of them. I quietly closed the bedroom door, walked downstairs, unpacked the groceries like a robot, and smiled sweetly when they finally came down 20 minutes later, flushed and pretending everything was normal. David even kissed my cheek and asked what was for dinner. That night, while they watched TV together on the couch, I started my plan. First, I bought and installed hidden cameras and high-quality voice recorders throughout the house. One in the bedroom vent, one in the living room lamp, one in David's car. I did it while they were both out running errands. Next, I secretly hired the best divorce attorney in Chicago, a woman named Elena, who specialized in high-conflict cases with infidelity and financial fraud. We met during my lunch breaks in a coffee shop across town so no one would recognize me. I pulled every financial record I could access. Over $45,000 of our joint savings had been funneled to Rachel cash apps, wire transfers, expensive jewelry I had never seen her wear, and even David paying off her maxed-out credit cards. But the real surprise came when I dug deeper into old text messages I recovered from a shared cloud account they thought I didn't know about. They had been planning this for months. Rachel had actually been the one to suggest the stay-with-us arrangement from the beginning, not because she needed help, but because she wanted David. I cried alone in my car every single night for 2 weeks straight. I cried until my eyes were swollen and my throat burned. Then I wiped my face, looked myself in the rearview mirror, and whispered, they wanted war. They had no idea I was going to win it completely and make sure they never saw it coming. I chose Sunday dinner, the monthly family gathering when David's parents always came over. We sat around the dining table like always, laughing, passing the mashed potatoes. I smiled, poured the wine, and said in my calmest voice, before we eat, I have a short video I think everyone should see. I turned on the projector we used for family movie nights. The footage rolled. The audio played crystal clear. Every moan, Every whisper, every cold plan about stealing my house, my children, and my life. David and Rachel turned ghostly white. David's mother dropped her fork. His father stood up so fast his chair fell backward. I didn't stop there. Within 48 hours, I had forwarded every piece of evidence to David's entire extended family, to his boss and every coworker on the sales team, to our mutual friends, and even to the HR department with a polite note about company values. The scandal exploded like a bomb. David was suspended the next morning and fired by the end of the week. The legal battle was brutal but swift. My attorney destroyed them in court. I had video, audio, financial trails, and even a surprise witness, a neighbor who had seen Rachel's car parked in our driveway at odd hours for months. I kept the house. I received full custody of both boys. David was ordered to pay high monthly alimony and repay every cent of the $120,000 he had stolen or transferred. Rachel was completely cut off. David's parents told her never to contact them again. She was evicted from our house the same day the judge signed the papers. And then came the final, delicious twist no one saw coming. 2 weeks later, Rachel showed up at David's new cheap apartment, crying and pregnant. She didn't even know who the father was. The timeline overlapped with their affair and a brief fling she had confessed to in one of the recordings. David panicked, called her every name in the book, and abandoned her on the spot. They had one last screaming match in the parking lot of his building, witnessed by half the complex, and ended their affair in the most public, humiliating way possible. Today, life looks very different. I was promoted to senior account manager, the role I had turned down 2 years ago to support the family. I bought a beautiful new house just 10 minutes from the boys' school, with a big backyard where Jacob and Ethan play soccer every evening. My sons are happier than I've seen them in years. They ask about their dad less and less, and when they do, I answer honestly but gently. We're healing together. David is living in a rundown one-bedroom apartment on the other side of town. He's still unemployed, blacklisted in the industry after the scandal. His family has completely disowned him. The last I heard, he spends most nights alone with cheap beer and regret. Rachel works 2 dead-end jobs, morning shift at a coffee shop, and nights waiting tables just to afford a tiny studio. She has been quietly shunned by everyone who once called her family. A few months ago, she called me at 2 a.m., sobbing, begging for forgiveness and a second chance. I listened without interrupting. Then I said one cold, final sentence. You chose my husband over the family that welcomed you when you had nothing. Now live with the consequences. And I hung up. They took away my trust. They tried to steal my future. In the end, I took theirs instead. Sometimes the best revenge isn't loud screaming or dramatic confrontations. It's quiet. It's calculated. It's patient. And it is permanent. Would you forgive, or would you make them regret it for the rest of their lives? If Sarah's story resonated with you, hit the like button right now. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss another real-life story of betrayal and justice. Drop the word justice in the comments if you want me to come back with part 2 and tell you exactly how my new life is unfolding, including the surprising man I've started seeing who actually knows how to treat a raid. Woman right. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.